Walpole United, WFC.
Do you know what? I'm going to take my glasses off because the glare I'm getting back from them. Jesus Christ. Good evening and welcome to Walpole United WFC. It's the Ben and Matt Saturday Night Live show. I've got a cracking show for you tonight, ladies and gents. Some really good guests lined up for you, as you can see on the bottom of the screen there. First of all, Matt, how are you, pal?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm like you. Well, I'm not as bad as you, mate. Bit of a sore throat this morning, but yeah, not too bad.
Good lad. Connor had a very eventful evening, by the way. I'm sure we'll get on to that a little bit later on. But how are you, Connor, lad?
Yeah, absolutely shattered. Which, yeah, that's one for later on. But all good, other than the tales of the journey home. That's all I'll say for now.
Speaking of somebody that might have a tale or two to speak about, is was all on his lonesome yesterday in a different stand. But we'll try and rectify that for next time. But Stu, how are you, mate?
I'm all right. I'm all right, as you all left me. Didn't want to know me last night. Just left me on my own, and nobody spoke to me all game. You know, it was great. I'm fine, actually. Yeah, I've had a good day. So I had a wonderful journey back. It was dead easy. In fact, I had a good journey there as well. That was no problems whatsoever. So all is good. All is good, old friend. All is good.
See, Gareth's already piping up. Nice for you to be on time. What's Robert saying? Evening, Benny. And one half the rest of the supporters group, Matt. You had to get that one in, didn't he?
Yeah. Evening, Karen.
Evening, Karen as well. Yeah, look. And Anthony's in the comments as well. But Anthony's on it as well. Look. Anthony's being yeah. What else have I got nowadays? Who else have I missed? Connor's double tasking. Look.
Did you get him okay, Connor?
Anyway, how good was it to be back at Ellisford yesterday, Matt? You know, the first time in a long time, you know, supporting the women's side. How did you feel the overall experience went for yourself?
Oh, where do we start? Apart from the flag fiasco, which we need to sort, and the ticket turnstiles going in completely different numbers, which again we need to sort. It was good, yeah. Like I said, there was little minor hiccups. Obviously, you know, we've not been back for 18 months. It's going to happen, isn't it? You know, we switch over to this digital rubbish and descended to a completely different way in to walk all the way around again. But hey ho. But now I think just getting back to the football side, yeah, enjoyed it, mate. Good atmosphere. We did say we'd improve from Scotland, obviously, because not many of us travelled to Scotland. We did. So, yeah, Friday night under the lights. Happy days, pal. It was just good to see everybody. I think it's difficult sometimes on a match day to sort of get around everyone. But, you know, from those that I did catch up with, it was nice to see people I'd even never met before or hadn't seen for 18 months.
Sorry, some of these comments
he's
are
not
cracking me
laughing at you, Matt. Don't worry.
Oh my God, I love it. Connor, I'll come to you, pal. What was your first overall impressions of it? I know, obviously, you was at the 23s with me the week before, but what's your overall impression of Leigh Sports Village?
It's a decent ground. I don't know whether. Do you want me to talk about my experience of the women's game or just LSV in general?
LSV in general first, pal.
Right, okay. Yeah, I think it's what I will say, that obviously the only downside, which I'm sure you've all covered before, obviously, unless you drive, it's quite obviously a difficult place to get to. As me and John found yesterday, trying to get out with no car. You know, taxi services are not the best, like, being totally honest, around that area, but certainly at the time of night that it was. But I mean, yeah, I actually quite like the area. Obviously, the pub, the Wren right next door. It's a decent sized ground. It's a shame, actually. I know that this is something that you guys and people have been trying to work on. That obviously the stand-in terrace stand would be ideal for kind of the group that we were in yesterday. I don't understand why they don't open that up, to be honest, for people like the kind of group that we were with yesterday, and you know, stick us behind the goal, because generates more atmosphere then. And you know, they obviously don't want people standing up in the seated area, so why not just move us behind the goal where you can stand? So LSV in general, yeah, I like it. It's a nice ground, good facilities around it. Obviously free parking always helps, but yeah, obviously if they want to get more the one thing obviously I've said over the whole WSL weekend, the games that have been played at the men's stadiums have had big high attendances. I know 2,000 is a good attendance for LSV on a Friday night for the women's game, but I think more people would go. One, if there was buses and trains, obviously, that could get there nearby. But yeah, other than that, I say it's a nice ground. It's just the lack of transport, I think. Unless you drive, it's a bit difficult to get to, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's the discussions that we've been having for absolutely, well, the last 4 years, haven't it, Matt? Really, just the same old things. Yeah. Topics keep popping up. Stu, I'm not sure if you ever visited LSV before yesterday, but what was your first impressions of the stadium and the facilities in and around it?
Yeah, I liked it. It reminds me much of MK Dons, actually, in its situation where it's kind of situated. You got a couple of stores in and around it. You got a pub in and around it. So I think, from an access point of view, I think Connor's right. I think for the single match going fan, it went with a load of mates and then they just leave you on your own. So for the single match going fan, I think it was okay. I was well looked after by the stewards. Come up every 5 minutes just to make sure I was okay. No. The view I had, unfortunately, because I was the south stand, it was a typical view. When I hate being in the south stand when you're on the lower level. You've got to be at a higher level, really, because the pitch is so elongated. You couldn't really get a real feel of what it was like in the opposition penalty area. But look, I thought the pitch was brilliant. I was really surprised at the quality of the pitch and the grass. That really surprised me. I like the concourse side of it. I like the easy access to it. So from that point of view, yeah, I think it's great. And I can see why Manchester United would situate the women there when they're not playing at Old Trafford. So yeah, good stadium.
Absolutely. Matt, we've been on about traffic nightmares, and it's all right for me and you. We live down the road, and obviously we drive as well. So, are you surprised that the club is still not putting on coaches, even from Old Trafford or a city centre location, like a shuttle bus type service?
Yeah. Listen, the thing that annoys me is for that very first game at LSV, the Reading Conti Cup game, we managed to get 5,000 people there by doing exactly that. They put on shuttle buses from Old Trafford and the city centre, I believe. So it's like, well, hang on, you've done it for one game, you've got 5k people. Why would you now sack it off after one game and get half of that attendance? So it makes no sense, Clubs obsessed with making money and saving money. Well, you're going to make money by getting fans in and making them pay for transport, and it makes it a damn sight easier, plus the refreshments and everything else. So I can't understand why we're going into season 4 now, why we're still asking these questions and why stuff's not been done. I think what was great about that Reading game as well, it was like a little sort of fun day for kids as well. So, obviously I appreciate Friday may not be sort of ideal if it's late, and I get that, but listen, that's TV now. But, why not get some of that stuff on? They had magicians, they had people or even adults, if we mention Anthony, get the face painted. Shocking behaviour, Anthony, but for the kids anyway, little balloon people and all that. Why can't we bring that back? Sorry, I had to drop that in for Anthony. Half and half face.
Do you know what it reminds me of? Phoenix Knights and the guys' face.
But
that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah, but back on topic, we've said this and I'm sick of saying it. There's so many opportunities they can do to just enhance overall experience. I get we're there for the football, but listen, you've got a little lad yourself, Ben. Sometimes it's great in it if they can go and see Fred the Red beforehand or after the game or whatever. So, that's the only way to grow it, and obviously get people in. But yeah, the transport's a massive issue. You can get the V1, but it drops you off 15 minutes in the middle of Leigh. If you don't know where you're going, it's not ideal, is it? So yeah, I think we still need to. What's he saying here? Better than half and half scarf. Who's got a half and half scarf? What sort of a comeback's that? Shocking. But yeah, back to transport. It just needs sorting out as a whole. Like I say, season 4 now. We've told the club numerous times they don't want to know, obviously. So I don't know. I just feel sorry for people that struggle to get there because, like John was saying in the comments, you queued to get in the car park. It's just, Yeah, I mean, there's only one road in, which itself
That's
is an
what I mean.
issue. But listen, we can't do anything about that. So the next best thing is put on shuttle buses, city centre and Old Trafford, and let's just help people out. And then at least, that's half the problem, isn't it then? But everything else, can't complain.
Absolutely. Going on to the atmosphere, though. As you said earlier on, Matt, you touched upon it earlier on, the atmosphere was quite good. Without Natalie as well, without the hype girl herself. So I just wanted to come to Stu first, actually, on this one, because obviously you know the atmosphere inside Old Trafford, you know atmosphere away from home and that with United. Was you pleasantly surprised with the atmosphere?
Yeah, actually, I was. I mean, I would certainly think outside the hardcore fan, the Barmy Army kind of, where I was in the kind of family area, it was nice to see kids enjoying it, having their pictures taken during the game, as soon as players are coming over the corners and things like that nature. So it was really good to see kids get to go and watch professional football and really enjoy it and get kind of immersed in it. And that's one of the things that I took from it. And then also listening to you guys, I was quite surprised some of the kids didn't try and mimic your that one chant that guy kept singing. I thought you had a couple more, but maybe Nat is the chant queen. I don't know, but the one chant the guy kept going. I thought, well, fair play to him. He's giving it a go. But I think from when you take your group out of it, it's very subdued. Everybody else is quite subdued. So the guys to your right were quite subdued. And the parents around by me were quite subdued. But the kids were absolutely loving it. So, you know what? I think from that perspective, I think it was great. And it gives, like I said to you before, Benny, it gives kids a chance to watch football. Taking the kids to Old Trafford, you can't always get them tickets, as you well know. They're in the mix, depending on where the tickets you can buy. Sometimes they're with hardcore fans, sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're in the South Stand where they're kipping, or sometimes they're in the Sir Alex Ferguson stand where it's still quite quiet, and things of that nature. Or, they get into the East Stand and they can have a bit of banter with the away fans if they're close to it. So, interesting way of doing it. What I would say is I'm going to have a moan about the tickets in all fairness. So maybe someone at Manchester United women should really take note of this. I was unfortunate. I didn't buy a season ticket, which I should have done really for the amount of money that it costs. So I was a match going fan. And of course I was going with the gang. And unfortunately I wasn't able to join them. I did ask on 2 or 3 occasions if I could go round, and I got some usual BS of health and safety, etc. But Manchester United have got to realise they're trying to get people through the turnstiles. They're trying to get people interested in women's football. The Premier League are trying to get interested in women's football. Barclays are trying to get interested in women's football. And there is interest in women's football. But if you're getting split up when you're going with a group of people, it becomes a hindrance. Really, I mean, if you just love football like somebody like myself, it doesn't really matter because you're ultimately there to A, enjoy it, B, watch the game, and then the plus side is to have a bit of banter with your friends, and that type of thing. But if you're in a situation where, like Benny's turned around to a friend and said, "Look, why don't you come get a ticket?" But I can't sit with you. It's a bit of a problem, and there's not enough people in the crowd for Manchester United not to. Or to segregate people. It just didn't make sense to me. So I think the club needs to take a bit of a look at that. However you speak to the club, Matt, I would mention that because it's ludicrous to me. Absolutely ludicrous. There's just not that size of that stadium. There just doesn't need to be any segregation. So that's the only thing I would say. But apart from that, everything else was brilliant. So, yeah, the kids around me were great. And it was nice to see smiling kids after the 18 months we've had as a country or as a planet, so to speak. It was great to see kids smiling and enjoying football. And the other thing I did notice as well, there was very few. The kids that got the Manchester United shirts on, they've got female names on the back. They've got the women's team names on the back. There was the odd one or two Fernandez. I mean, that'll be next match. It'll be just full of Ronaldo shirts, won't it? Let's be honest. But it was good to see. I saw Leigh Galton's name on there, and I think I saw Ella Toon a few times. So it was good to see that. So all in all, great time.
Yeah, Anthony's trying to take offence that you're talking about him, by the way.
Anthony butchered half the songs, though, to be fair.
But I say, he couldn't even read the piece of paper that he's reading the songs
I had to
off.
write it down for him and pass it back.
I don't know who had the one chance because I was on my own, Anthony. If it was you, pal, I was stuck on my own. So whoever had the one chance, I think he was on the back.
It was. I think. Are you on about the "Who Are We" Red Army song?
Yes. Well, it's not really.
Jack, I think.
I mean, you're kind of using the term "song" loosely there.
Clear there, Anthony, lad. It was Jack.
No, but
one of Jack's he's got two favourite chants jackets, that Red Army one and the Bring On United, which he likes to sing half an hour before the team comes out when it's supposed to be like 2 minutes before
but
the
to
team
be fair,
how
was he?
That shit one where it talks about the San Siro and the Bernabeu grounds that the women's team are never going to visit because the women's team never play there.
And he was at the council house as well.
I think if you guys can kind of generate that atmosphere and get other people in and around you to help with that atmosphere, then it would be I think it would be brilliant. But I'm sure the players appreciate it, and that and that's the key thing, isn't it? So yeah. So I didn't. Hopefully, I haven't offended Anthony.
No, he's all right, Anthony. He's all right.
But I do make a habit of offending people, Anthony. So I'll just mention that. But I'm joking.
Anthony's used to it. We rip him every week.
Yeah, he's actually used to it. Now he's finally in the comments. Hey, how you doing, Nat? Hope you enjoyed Villa today. And to be fair, though, it did miss that a little bit. Though I will jump in on that just for a second because if anybody's, I might have to send you to the link. I think so that Carla Ward interview, and that's Natalie shouting Carla Ward's by me. She asked the Villa manager, women's manager. It totally stopped Carla Ward in the tracks. She completely forgot what she was saying, or because Nat was gobbing off at the other end of the ground. Carla Ward. And then somebody tried telling me off for saying I can't sing while Mark Skinner's doing an interview. But yeah, at Old Trafford, when Bruno Fernandes and Mason Greenwood tried to do interviews in front of the Stretford end, there was Bruno Fernandes was getting his song sung. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I tell you now, Natalie would have sung for Mark Skinner, even if it was in front of the Sky Sports cameras. So
you can sing where you want. When you walk into a football stadium, gloves are off. The end. You can do what you like. That's the idea, And I genuinely think you guys are building some kind of momentum with it. You just need a few more to kind of help you out a bit more, really, and some better chance. But apart from that, no, I'm joking. No, I'm kidding. No,
to be fair, though, some of them are cringy. I was looking back on who the hell's come up with that. For about 3 or 4 of them, I was like, half the words don't make sense. It don't rhyme, and I'm like. No, some of these hardcore Reds that have booted Anthony out the ground yesterday for some of the shocking lyrics in some of these songs. I'm like, what the hell is going on here?
You'd have been better off doing a bit of a Viva, Ronaldo. That would have got probably the stadium going.
Well, a little bit of a Viva Ronaldo. There was a little bit of it, mate.
That was at the beginning, really, wasn't it? When it was quite empty. Because the other thing I did notice, and obviously there's some people in the comments are talking about being delayed getting in, and I texted Connor. I go, why can't people just get to a football match on time? It kicks off at 7:45. Why can't you just get that on time?
Stickler for punctuality is Stu, by the way.
Too right.
Connor, what did you make of the overall atmosphere? Because you was in amongst us.
Rub it in.
Singing and rubbing it into Stu.
Don't worry about it.
What did you make of the overall atmosphere? Apart from one of the 2 of the songs that may have been a little bit cringy.
Yeah, I think that you've hit it. I don't really have anything else to add from what's already been said, to be honest. I think I obviously said at the start, I think really us lot and like kind of the group need to be behind the goal in the standing terraced. I'm going to say that on every show I'm now on for the rest of the season, I think. But because it just makes more sense. You have your singing section behind the goal, especially in a standing terrace. And obviously the announcement came over the thing, didn't it? please be aware, standing is not prohibited or whatever in the seating areas, and we all just started booing, which is quite funny. And the players, actually, I looked to my left, obviously the Man United subs were on my left, they were all laughing their heads off as well at us booing, which is quite funny. But yeah, the overall, I think, like you said, there's a couple of songs in there which, if you did that at Old Trafford, you'd be kicked out, quite honestly. But I mean, overall, it's like I said, I think Stu said it as well. I think you're a few people away from it really kind of taking off. I think because, like you said, there was a lot of people around us where they're kind of looking back going, why are you chanting, kind of thing. Maybe, I don't know, obviously, what it was like before. But there were a few people in the kind of the stand that we were in where they are just there, which is fine. You get that at Old Trafford as well. You get that at any ground you go to. They're just there to watch the football. You don't have to chant and sing along, but you do need an atmosphere, I think, at stadiums. And obviously Manchester United are clearly the best at that in the WSL from what I've seen over the last year or so. So yeah, I was pleasantly surprised with the atmosphere. I just think it needs, like I said, the group of people need to be moved to behind the goal. I think that will help. And also, obviously, just getting more people on it. But like I said, it's hard when you've got people like Stu, because it's like I said, I could tell my mates, I've got like 5 mates who are United fans. I could say, come and join, get more people singing. But if they're going to be sat in another stand, it's not going to work, is it? So unless I'm going to tell them, right, everyone gets season tickets, which it's not always the case. People might have the money or whatever, even though it's cheap enough. People might not want to commit or they can't go up to every game. It's a shame. So yeah, on the atmosphere, I haven't really got anything else to add from what's already been said. Pleasantly surprised, but I think it just needs a few more people and just moves to the standing terrace.
I will come back onto that for in a second, atmosphere actually. But Matt, I know you want to banter Anthony back for a minute, so
no,
please do.
Do you know what? I was laughing at this because I don't know whose timekeeping skills he's on about, because I was there at 5 o'clock, but he's on about maths, this guy, right? This guy couldn't count to 4 yesterday. We had to help him out with that. There's 3 shows I've watched back, and every single one he's got his maths wrong. Now, if I get it wrong, what? I can't fucking speak now. If I get it wrong once, he's all over it, innit? But this was the geezer when asked for an 18-man squad, pulled up a 24-man World Cup party. So yeah, Anthony, mate, don't go there, pal. 1 off, it's acceptable, but not 3 times. So yeah, just thought I'd add that in, Benny, just to set the record straight. And I don't know whose timekeeper he's waffling on about.
I don't know either. Anyway, but back to the atmosphere thing, and I think Connor's picked up right, and I think Stu's picked up all right as well. And I swear there was talk about it not so long ago that the Barmy Army, the Manchester United Women's Supporters Club, whatever they want to be called now, we're going to get their own section. Why haven't we got our own section where people can? Even if they're not city goals, people can come and join us. Surely there should be a part of the stadium where they go, this block is yours, or this entire block is yours. You can do whatever you want with it, or a couple of blocks so people can join in if they want to. But I think I'm agreeing with Connor, and we've been saying it for years though, Matt. If they gave you the terrace, gives you the free reign, and people got the choice whether you sit down or whether you want to go stand up or you want to go sing, And I said, they don't even have to hold the whole terrace up. They could just give us the middle section and maybe shut the sides off, or one of the sides off if they need be, They don't have to give you the whole. I know there's a massive thing that United apparently won't pay for the stewarding or whatever in the terrace end. I don't know what else there is, what other excuses they might come up with, but surely we need some sort of a section to sort out so people that can maybe that, especially it, Matt, that people like myself go to men's games and sometimes it clashes and we're not always going to be there. So some people might just go, I just want to buy the odd ticket every now and then, but I want to go and join the singers. I want to go and make an atmosphere. So surely the club and the people within the Manchester United Women's Supporters Club need to be talking to each other and try and sort this out.
Yeah, I mean, from conversations I've had with sort of, people that have asked these questions, it's like you say, it's excuses because, you talk about stewarding. We went in early to put in the flags and, there was that many that are in stands that aren't open, faffing about. I'm not being funny, but it's like you said, Bennett, that behind the goal yesterday, the sides weren't full. If you move them and fill the sides and then overspill into the terrace, I don't understand it. It's open for the rugby. Now, granted, the rugby probably get more fans. That's fine. And, costs may be an issue, but just use a bit of common sense. You know, they've already sacked off half the stand that we're sitting for this ridiculous rules that nobody else is doing, just United. So it's like, well, you know, let's just use common sense. Everybody wants it, but Leigh, you know, don't know if it's anything United holding it back, but I know Leigh have definitely said, oh, yeah, it's not possible. But it's like, why isn't it not possible? You told us for 4 years it's not possible. You know, that's like me saying it might be snowing tomorrow, but I'm not telling you why I think that. Do you know what I mean? Give us an answer. So people seem to be going around in circles. You know, the questions have been asked since season 1. You know, flags are in there. Why can't people stand in there? Why can't you close off the goal, you know, behind the goal and move everybody, fill the sides and then go onto the terrace? But I don't know. Nobody can give you a straight answer. So it doesn't surprise me. Between Leigh and Man United, it's just, yeah, it's a shambles. But hey-ho.
I know Gareth was on about double headers. I was just saying, if the matches do clash like the men's have done with the women's before, that obviously the more people are likely to go watch the men's than the women's. So, but what I'm saying is that people, I know a lot of people, for example, like Nat will know a gentleman called Adam Frost. In the first season, he sort of sporadically, that's the word I'm looking for, when, you know, just bought a ticket on the day, and obviously just wanted to join in with the singing, wanted to join in with Nat and that. So, you know, it's not about the double headers, mate. Double headers work on a completely different thing, which I know what you're getting. I know what you're getting at, pal. But I was on about double headers. But yeah, just want to come to Stu on the standard of the game then. And I want to come to Connor on the standard of the refereeing, because I'm going to come back to Stu for the standard of the referee, because he might be a while. But for the game, though, Stu, what do you make of the overall standard that you saw last night from both teams?
Yeah, look, I didn't quite know what to expect. I've seen women's football in the past, and it's been a difficult watch. Not because of anything, but I guess it's kind of what you're used to. But last night, I was really impressed with the quality I saw. I was a bit worried on the warm up. I was watching Mary Earps on the warm up, and I didn't look. You know, her kicking, she didn't look strong enough. You know, with her kicking, and I was kind of worried that you wouldn't be able to play your way out via the high ball, rather, you know, and you'd have to do it through the low ball and the passing side of the game. But actually, you know, that was completely wrong. She you know, she's quite an assured keeper. Got a good kick on her. Look, I picked out a couple of players. I was really impressed with, and I couldn't remember a name, so I've had to get the squad up, everybody. So I'm just being honest. Maria, number 3.
Torres Totier.
Yeah, I thought she was outstanding. There's a couple of reasons for that. I thought her positional play was perfect. Every time she went up for a header, for a header, her position was spot on. Her body shape was brilliant. She was powerful. But one of the things that did surprise me, she didn't panic when she was in possession. She was quite assured. And you don't even get that in the men's game on occasions. The ball becomes a hot potato or a lava rock around your feet. But I thought she was really good. I was Mannion as well, partner. Is that correct? The bucket hat lady.
Bucket hat lady. That's the one, mate.
Yeah. Again, equally a bit shorter, a bit quicker in her play. But again, I thought our 2 centre halves were really good. Standout player for me, and I'm purely looking at this from a technical point of view. I thought her technical ability was top draw, and that's Katie Zellum. Was she our skipper, number 10?
Yeah, the number 10 skipper.
Yeah. I absolutely brilliant. Every time she got the ball, she just looked assured. She was always looking to do something with it. She was looking to make the play. And we cried about that in the men's game. We're desperate for somebody to make the play a bit quicker in the men's game. And I thought she was excellent with that. 2-footed from what I could see. I don't know what her stronger foot is. I'm sure Matt and Ben will be able to tell me, but she looked 2-footed. But she looked really assured. Obviously, Ella Toon, I thought played quite well. And I was impressed with Hanson and Battle, is that how you pronounce it? On a battle? Am I right in saying that, or is it?
It's better. Some would call a badger, but it's not a badger. I let Matt correct, because I butchered the pronunciation. Matt will tell you the correct pronunciation. Go on, Matt.
Still good asking me. I think the calls. What is it? Something like, is it a Y? I don't know. Badger, is it?
Badger.
I think it's Badger, but the commentators call it Badger, like the fucking.
I just call it Battle.
And Battle's just easier.
And there's a couple of things. The first goal, a Hanson goal, absolutely brilliant finish outside of the left. Wonderful, kind of like cut across it. It was a really, really good finish because you don't have a lot of time to think about that. And obviously the second goal, where I was, as soon as she shaped to shoot, it was clear it was going to go in. Because the keeper, bless her, she wasn't tall enough for Reading, so she was never going to stop it anyway. But it was absolute precision, and I thought we deserved the 2-0. Looking at Reading, bunch of bruisers actually. When you look at the height of Reading, you look at the height of MUFC women. We're a shorter team, and whether that'll count against us or not, and we're not a powerful unit. And I think that's something that Skinner's got to look at. He's got to make us a more powerful unit because Reading's number 4 could have absolutely. She should have got sent off, but she could have run roughshod. And her problem was actually, and I'm not sticking up for her or anything like that, but her problem was she was too tall, and she was climbing down on. Sounds a bit weird, but she was aiming down on players. So if she was tackling Tooney, for example, because Tooney is a bit smaller than her problem was she couldn't do a straight shoulder-to-shoulder challenge because it would be her shoulder to Tooney's head. I mean, she was that big. I'll tell you, really impressed me was their number 5. I thought Reading centre-half was as good as Maria. I thought they were both really excellent centre-halves. Again, she read the game perfectly well, and I was lucky enough to see that from the back. And one other player I liked that came on was Jackie.
Stu's gonna have the whole team in a minute.
Yeah. Well, I liked Jackie Groenen, however you pronounce it, the blonde girl that came on.
Dutch girl.
Looks like she's got good feet. The only problem with her is she doesn't think. She's a bit too. Her feet are quicker than her brain at this point in time of her development of her career. And what she needs to do, she needs to think about what she wants to do before the ball comes to her, because she's getting the ball and she's obviously very, very skillful. Got a wonderful first touch, but then she doesn't quite know what she's doing with it after. But I mean, look, again, Skinner's just got to get older and say, look, it's all about time. It's all about possession. And then you've got to use your skill and your pace and your vision just at the right time in any type of football match. So if I've bored the life out of everybody watching, apologies. Overall, I think for 20 minutes we weren't particularly good. We didn't start well. I saw some kind of shape with Skinner. I can see what he wants to do, but he needs to use the wingers a lot more. Rather than try and play through the middle, because we're not big enough and we're not strong enough to play through the middle. We've got that Katie Zellim who's got the quality to play through the middle, but as a unit, we're just not big or strong enough to do that yet. And I can see why you guys rave about Hanson, why you rave about Elatoon. I can why I hear you talk about mainly. I can see why you rate those because I think they're really good, solid players. But that was just my overview. I'm not saying I'm right. One other thing though, fair play to the keeper, the Reading keeper, because obviously we know now the ball crossed the line by quite a bit. The old Reading keeper, she was calling it. She was paying the lines. The lines went out this side to the left, big time. It's a fucking goal. She was going, but. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, that was just my thoughts. So, that's how I viewed it and saw the game.
On Jackie, though, she's a European Cup winner. Well, a European Championship winner, isn't she, at international level? So I believe she's got to the World Cup final as well, hasn't she, Matt?
At some stage. I think, was it 2019 or 17? 17, I think it might have been. 2017, I'm sure it was.
Is she coming back from injury or something?
No, been in the Olympics. So
isolated and what have you.
Potentially she's not up to speed. But what I saw was a player with a great touch and a player that could be really dangerous. But somebody needs to think about what she's doing more. That's how I looked at it. Really,
I think to be fair, because she's had so many games plus the Olympics and things. Obviously, 10 minutes in pre-season, like you say, she's obviously behind, and I think give her a bit of a break and obviously give her time to get back. And like you said, Stu, the more minutes, like you say, technical abilities there. So it's just a case of getting her back in, really. But 2019 World Cup, Anthony was all about.
Yeah, that's right. Connor, who were you? I know you gave a shout in the comments to Natalie, but who were your standout players, mate?
It was the two fullbacks. It was Honor and Hannah. Because I understand what Stu was saying.
He knows the names, doesn't he?
I'll start straight away with what just going on the back of what Stu was saying about you can kind of see what Mark's system was. At the start, it was really weird because I think, Matt, you said it, obviously you were sat in front of me. It looked to begin with like a 4-4-1-1. To be honest, in possession and out of possession, it almost like dropped to a 4-5-1, and obviously the midfield went really flat. But the two fullbacks, this is why I'm shouting them out, played such a pivotal part in it. Like I said, Honor was my man of the match at half time, completely deserved the goal. As Stu said, we could talk about that goal. Just brilliant finish. I don't think any keeper's getting anywhere near that. What I liked as well, because most fullbacks, well, the modern day fullback is attacking anyway. But what I liked is she picked the ball up, played it obviously into Ella, and straight away, first thought, run towards the box. Get round the. I can't remember who it was. The number 11 for Reading. I can't remember who it was on the defensive side. Quickly, that's first thought. Not let's hold it here and then put a cross in. It was straight right. Let's run towards the box. There's a potential opportunity to follow this on. Quick 1-2 with Ella, which obviously worked out. And Hannon the same. Both of them were brilliant going forward. There was a couple of misplaced passes, but I think everyone was doing that throughout the game anyway. And especially in the first half, and I said this before the game, there was going to be nerves in that first 20 minutes anyway. It's first game of the season, first game on Sky, big, obviously, TV deal coming in. There was always going to be nerves in that first 20 minutes, whoever was playing. But I thought both of them defensively and offensively they just always look calm on the ball to me. Especially Honor on the left hand side. Like there was a couple of occasions, the one I remember really well, when she was being pressured, there was two players running her down. Just calm as you like, foot on the ball, turn, play it into midfield.
Top corner, wasn't it? Top corner. Yeah, it was nice that. Yeah, nice sort of pirouette.
It was just, like I said, I'm shouting out. I don't think there was a bad player, so to speak, throughout the whole team, but those two just stood out to me. The whole back four, actually, I'm glad Stu called out the two centre halves as well. Because again, composed on the ball. When Reading were pressing, they didn't look shaky. I've seen teams play a lot, obviously, in the men's game, and when teams press, there's that kind of shakiness on the ball. You didn't see that from our two centre halves. It was good to see in the passing as well, being able to progress that into midfield. The long ball was there as well. A couple of missed touches from Kirsty and Leigh, but other than that, like I said, me personally, I didn't know what to expect going in because I'd watched women's football on the TV. Obviously, with the first time I started getting into women's football was the World Cup in 2015, I think it was, when it was over in Canada. That was the kind of first taste. So I've never seen it live, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I was very, very happy with what I saw. The pace of it was brilliant. I don't know whether that came across with people watching on TV, but watching it live, I thought the pace of the game was brilliant. The tackles that were going in. The passing as well in the midfield, like I said, with Zellum and Barisa, and it was just one of those good experiences for me. Like I said, the two fullbacks stood out, but overall, as I said, it was just a good game of football to watch. And like I put on my tweet yesterday, people can say what they want about women's football or whatever. All I saw yesterday was United versus Reading, 11v11. It's football, 11v11. We were supporting United, and it was a quality game. I said that high intensity from both teams. Obviously, once those early game nerves got out of the way, and that's all it was, and that's what it should be.
Do you know what I think we could do? As I was watching the game unfold, and Connor was right to mention the two fullbacks. I think Skinner could potentially operate a 3-5-2. I really do. I think he's got the personnel to be able to operate that, and I think we would be really, really dangerous. But who would make the third centre back? I don't know, because obviously I only saw two of them and who you were putting, as
one was kind of on the bench. I don't know why she was on the bench, whether it was an injury. Millie Turner has been playing centre half that can play. She also plays the CDM role for Bristol City back in the day as well. So she could possibly be one of the options, Stu.
I think he's got some options there. From what I saw, Connor was right with his. It was a really strange formation to during possession and out of possession. Yeah, it was almost like a 3-5-2, something along those lines. But obviously there'll be tougher tests throughout the game, and this is where he's got to get a bit cuter, as a manager. And really, I talk about. I'm not going to go down there, really.
I know what's saying. Are you going to say player intelligence by any chance?
No, I'm talking about coaching, actually.
I don't know if we're going to talk about poses.
Yeah, no, I talk about coaching a lot, and there's certain people on the men's channel that think our men's coaches are not to scratch, etc., etc. And I always make a point that if you've got to tell a 28-year-old footballer what to do and where to stand on a football pitch, he shouldn't be anywhere near playing for Manchester United. I think Mark has got a coaching job to do with the girls, and that's absolutely no disrespect. I think he's got a coaching job to do, and I think he could really mould this unit of players, from what I could see, into being a real tough nut to crack. And I think that's how you're probably going to survive in the WSL when you're playing City, Chelsea, and Arsenal. No, Arsenal.
Arsenal, yeah, they're the top three.
Yeah. Yeah, and if there's ambitions for Manchester United to break that top three, he's got a coaching job to do there as well. So, but Connor's right. I actually went to watch Manchester United last night. It didn't really matter to me whether it was women or the under-23s or the men's team. I went to watch Manchester United, and that was really the key element. But yeah, I was impressed. I've got to say.
I'm interested to see how obviously Benny and Max. Obviously, you saw United last season, like this kind of performance. Obviously, with me and Stu are basing it off this one game that we've seen. I said some standout players for us. How was that a good performance compared to last year? Obviously, different kind of players. I know obviously the Americans and Lauren James obviously moved on in the summer, but is that the kind of performance that is equal to last year, or where does that stand?
I'd say it was okay for me. Don't know what you think, Benny. I'll explain my reasons in a minute if you want to chuck yours in.
Well, all right, then I'll go first then, Matt. I think, listen, I kind of mentioned that Reading are kind of our bogey side. Every time we go ahead against Reading, we concede. Every time we think we've won the game against Reading, we concede a late goal against Reading. So it's nice today, last night, should we say, but we've got the win. We've got the win comfortably, We weren't on the edge of our seats going, yes, they should have had a goal. I watched it back. It was well over the line, But unfortunately, women's games not about goal line technology. So, because I did turn around to Ian, who part of the Binding Army, is an ex-referee, and so I wasn't sure whether they had the goal line technology or not. And obviously, it's like, no, they don't at this level, which you would think senior level football in the women's game, live on Sky Sports, doesn't have goal line technology in this day and age is a bit ridiculous. And I will get onto refereeing soon anyway. But yeah, I just think it's a lot better this season. Well, I know Reading lost a couple of their decent players as well. And they're sort of in a bit of a transition, I think, And I said it in the stands, they looked a little bit poor compared to the Reading that we saw over the previous few years. The Reading that always seems to be our bogey side. We always seem to let our guard up against them, But overall, I agree with you. The fullbacks are quality, Ona's quality. I know Natalie loves raving on about Ona. Mannion was the one that stood out for me at the back. I said on Twitter, she reminded me a bit of watching Champions League Varane. The way she took the ball out of the air, one touch, not an issue, no problem. Spraying the ball around the back with ease.
Second half, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Maria Torres-Dottier, I've got to give her a shout because I gave her a little bit of a hard time when she first came into the team. I think she was culpable for a lot of the goals that we was conceding. I know against City, I was very critical of her for turning her back on the ball. Never turn your back on the ball when you're a centre half. And letting them score at free will. Just get stuck into them, close that ball down as quickly as you can. It doesn't matter if you take one in the mush or you take one in the privates. Just block the ball. It's your job there to block the ball. You do everything you can to block that ball. You don't just turn your back on it and chicken out of it. But pleasing to see. I was really impressed with Maria Torres-Totti. I thought that's the making of her. This could be the making of her, especially because we don't know what's happened with Millie. I don't know if she's picked up a knock. So that was one of the first names I'd put down on the team sheet. Would have been Millie Turner. That's basically had a free reign at the centre half since day one, really, hasn't she, Matt? And she's got the height as well. She's quite tall, Millie. So I was quite surprised that surely I think she picked up a knock in there. I'd just like to see us be a little bit more wide, though. I think I picked up a Stu's point there about tucking in Hanson and Galton are two brilliant. And I keep saying this a lot. Stick to the bar line. Stick to your outer touch lines. Get chalk on your boots, because when they're in free flow, nobody's catching them for pace and power. Nobody. And I just think when they're coming inside too much or standing inside, the full-backs are getting the ball. There's no real outlet. I was getting a bit frustrated in the first half. I was like, just get down the line, Hanson. Get down the line, goal. Give them a bit of an outlet, But it just seems to dictate of modern-day football. And I was like that with Wolves, where they're standing too far inside. It's like
Monday football is like that, Benny. Monday football, they don't understand chalk on the boots. It's an old saying. It's a 4-4-2 saying, that is. They don't get that anymore. And the way that modern managers want to play modern day football doesn't allow for that. And that's why I think modern managers should mix it up a lot more than what they do. And it's, and again, it's got nothing to do with coaching. It's got everything to do with player ability, player know-how. I'm going to use it, Connor, player intelligence. And it does. And that's what football is all about. Football is all about. When you're on that pitch, you're the ones that are best placed to see what's happening. You can tell where you're being attacked and where you need to defend, where you need to overload slightly, where you need to disrupt the play. That's all that number 4 did. When she was disrupting us, that number 4 for Reading, we had no answer to her because she was big, she's powerful, she's strong. But when she was getting a bit too aggressive, and the referee, I thought, should have clamped down on her a few times anyway, she then went back into a shell again, and that's when we were able to take advantage of the latter stages of the game, the last 15 minutes, particularly when she went off the ball. But slide tackles as well, was really impressed. That their number 5, she put in 2 or 3 brilliant slide tackles on Hanson. Absolutely, I was loving it. It was great to see, and she was clean. She was clean with every tackle because she was pretty much right in front of me. Brilliant to see.
And on my last point as well, I'm a bit worried about have we got enough goals in this team? I know Leigh Russo's coming back from injury. Martha Thomas only got a handful of minutes there. But I am worried if we've got that out-and-out goal-scoring striker. Matt, I don't know what your points are going to be, pal, but what did you make of it? And who stood out for you, though? Who stood out for you? Are you with the lads?
Yeah, I think fullbacks have mentioned. I'll give a shout out to Bo Reeser as well, because I thought she was, kind of went unnoticed in the middle. Everyone out, like we said, the likes of sort of Hanson and the fullbacks and Tune-In have all taken credit. But I thought Bo Reeser, was a decent shift in the middle. But I think for me, if I'm going to level, I don't want to use the word criticisms, but I thought, that false 9 I'm not a fan of. Stu said it before. We've not got the physicality. The thing is, it's fine against like to Reading because all they did was you just sat 5 midfield, they dropped the forward back, it pretty much became a 6. We struggled to break it down. So in terms of previous seasons, it's not really changed too much, in terms of working out how to break down these defensive teams and these physical teams. But I think, one thing we've touched on is the width. You saw when Hanson and Galton went inside to support Tune. Listen, there's nothing wrong with that. That's the idea. But then the fullbacks for me should have pushed higher because the amount of times when, a I think it was Mannion had the ball. Hannah could have come a lot higher. She was close to her, which was fine, but she could have gone a lot higher and given their defenders something to think about. And I just think, if we're playing the way we did, fine. But let's, get more support to Tooney because she looked flat out on her feet. We did change it eventually, put Martha Thomas on, but again, similar really, a little bit isolated. And if we're closing in with them wide players, then let's push your fullbacks on, and really sort of take the game to opposition. But a back three, Stu mentioned it. Could it work? Potentially. I think time to try it would be against the lesser teams. The ones where we can actually play football. We know we're going to dominate the ball. Your likes of your Birminghams, your Villas, your West Hams, your Tottenhams. Them's your games to try it, and maybe cup games as well. But listen, I wasn't disappointed with yesterday. Listen, we got the win, we got the clean sheet. But I just think, certain tweaks we are going to have to change when we come up, like I've talked about, against better teams. I think the midfield, obviously, Jackie to come back. I'd like to see Hayley in there as well and Risa. So whether that means, Zellum drops out or Risa drops out, I don't know. But yeah, and I think for me, obviously, when Leslie's fully fit, she's got to be the main striker. Put Tooney in behind maybe, or put 2 up top. And sort of work that, because, like we said, and like Connor said, it sort of went from a 4-4-1-1 and Stanley was behind Tooney to, something else, which again, we just need, I think, Stu said before, just a bit of coaching, like in and out of possession. What's your role? Are you here? Are you there? Where are you going? Where are you standing? What is your role within the team? And I think once sort of, the months progress and Mark's ideas sort of, I don't know, what's the thing, take off, shall we say, and everybody's used to it and buying into it more, then, we'll get there. But I think for the first game, listen, I'm not going to sit in amongst, like you said, Benny, we've struggled against Reading. We know they're physical. We know they're just going to sit back and try and nick one on the counter. But luckily, like you said, they lost quality. So we'll take the win and we'll move on.
That's where Mark has got to dangle that carrot, hasn't he? I mean, you're a football coach, aren't you, Matt? So you know exactly what I'm talking about. You got to when teams are playing a low block against you, they're sitting in. You got to dangle a carrot. You got to ponce about with it at the back. You got to drag them forward to you. You got to give them a sniff of an opportunity. And once you do that, that's when you've got to be you've got to be at it. You've got to be sharp. You've got to be in and around them, because players like, from what I could see from Elatine in particular. And correct me again if I'm wrong, because it's my first time seeing her. She has got the pace and she's got the ability to absolutely destroy space behind the fullback, or destroy space in between the fullback and the centre half, which Reading particularly kept a big space, and she's got that ability to do it. And if you've got a cute forward, say that Russo, because obviously I haven't seen her play, she's quite cute. And she can either make runs near post or she can glide in at the back. You could you could destroy teams just like that, but you've got to dangle that carrot first. But again, it's easy to be hypercritical, really. But it was a first game, and I thought we put in a solid performance, really, if I'm being honest. After a bit of a wobble, I'll say one thing about Reading. They had two efforts done in the first 10 or 15 minutes. One was a shot from outside the box, 25-yarder. But they got in twice, and they actually got in. When I mean that is they had an attempt on goal, irrespective of where it ended up. And that would be a worry if I was, especially against a fast starting team, which I would imagine City or Chelsea would probably score. I'm guessing it's all hyper thing, isn't it, from my point? But that's one thing I would guard against.
To be fair, though, mate, I've said it before, though. I don't think we're nasty enough as a team.
Well, we're not.
To get into people. To I think the only player that I think could do that job is Hayley Ladd, which Matt will know what I'm talking about. The one that will get into the dark arts, that will go studs up a little bit, break studs down the ankle a little bit, let people know that she's there. Was the one thing before I got onto the refereeing thing, which is what I wanted, which is kind of part of the refereeing thing anyway, was the amount of time wasted when it did last night, and the amount of on throw-ins, goal kicks, etc. The amount of fouls they were conceding, whether there was them Sunday League type of fouls, as I call them, where they're just just pulling on shirts, or you just raking your studs down the back of someone's leg, or well, whether it's a proper foul that they've gone steaming in and they've mistimed it or whatever it may be. And I'm looking at that, and it comes back to this whole leadership captain debate that's going on for a long time. And I look at it and I go, where's the captain? Where's Katie Zellum going up? Why shouldn't I go up to the referee and getting in her face? And people might say it's not the women's game, but I've seen various different teams doing it. I've seen Durham getting in the referee's faces. Matt well knows, they surround the referee and everything. Bruno Fernandes against Wolves was constantly back at the referee. Mike Dean, where's that from our players? Where's that sort of passion? We shouldn't be taking this. I think Matt's just disappeared for a minute. We shouldn't be taking this. I'm like, oh, he's back again. It's like a great Houdini, isn't he?
He is.
But I was half expecting Matt to come on with a different shirt. Then he went black screen, different change kind of thing.
Yeah, that'd have been quite cool. Yeah.
That would have been quite good, though.
Yeah.
But Matt, I'll come to you on this point, then, mate. The point I'm trying to make is, should we be more in the referee's face, though? Not that people are time wasted, people committing fouls. We're getting a yellow card, but that team's not getting a yellow card. What's your overall thoughts on it? Or am I just being a bit nitpicky on the whole thing? Might be a delay here. Like Carthage, this. Always gone. I'll come to you with that exact same point, I'll come to you, pal.
Well, your thought process is correct. At any level of football, if you feel hard done by, I mean, I was awful for it. I'd take somebody out completely, and I'd be going, ref, he's dived, or something like that. The arms would be out all the time, like that. It's the standard reaction. But here's the thing. When you're, and it's wrong what the WSL do. Let's be clear about this. When you are dealing with part-time referees and part-time lines women or lines persons, whatever you're supposed to call them now, and you're dealing with professional footballers, it's exceptionally difficult to kind of be critical of them, which isn't correct, by the way, because she did make a few errors last night, the referee. The lines woman, I felt sorry for her with the goal that clearly went in. She wasn't up with play. Actually, let's be clear about that. She was up with play on where she needed to be in terms of the back line, which made it then difficult for her to watch the ball accelerate off the striker's foot onto the bar and down. It would have happened in a split second because it bounced straight back out, didn't it? So for her duty is to watch the back line for offsides, and then she's quickly got to. So it's very, very difficult for her. But we do need a vocal 3 or a vocal 4. You need that vocality in any team. And you're constantly talking to the referee, constantly in the referee's ear. But you can't just use one player to do that. You've got to spread that around the team, because if you're using one player, then that one player is likely to get himself get themselves booked and warned. So you need 3 or 4 players that are equally as passionate about you. And you're absolutely right. We don't have that. The skipper should be talking to them, saying, "Look, number 4's, that's a third foul. Really, you've got to be doing something about this." But I don't know. I understand now that the PGMOL are getting involved with the referees for the women's game, but whether they're going to be professional or not, I don't know. But if you've got a professional league, which has had 10 million quid pumped into it by Barclays, you must have professional referees.
Yeah. Mike Riley was there yesterday.
Was he there, Mike Riley? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Go on.
I was just going to ask Connor on that. Am I just being an old school fat? Am I just being an old fat, an old duddy? But when I grew up with the likes of Roy Keane, Jaap Stam, Dennis Irwin, David Beckham, Ryan Giggs, chasing referees all over the football pitch, Rio Ferdinand getting in referees' faces. Has the game changed? Has it changed? Am I just being an old funny duddy that wants to see players, telling the referee, listen, Such has gone in for a foul of how many times now, ref? We've had a booking, they've not had a booking, etc., etc. I might have just been an old fart, mate.
I don't know about that. I do think, though. I mean, I don't know where I stand on this whole thing that you should complain to the ref, because yes, I get it. It makes you can sway certain refs' decisions if you've got the team. I don't think one person, unless you are like a proper hard nut, can sway decisions. But I think on the kind of the ref yesterday, I think there was a couple of times where you could say, right, yeah, it should have been on them for time waste, especially in the first half. I mean, it was evident in the first 10 minutes that that's what the game plan was, to take as much time as possible on goal kicks and free kicks. There was only a couple of it, because I've watched the game back now full on Sky, so I can get a better picture of, because when you're in the ground, there was the yellow card in the I can't remember when it was. I can't remember her name now. Stannis. Can't remember. Stay off. The yellow card. Obviously, when I saw that in real time, live, I thought, there's no way that's a foul. She got the ball. And then when I've watched it back on TV, you can go, right, okay, I can kind of see how that's been given as a yellow. Obviously, the goal, the ghost goal for Reading, that, at the time, actually, I turned around to Matt, who was next to me, and I said, that looked into me. If I could see that from where I was, I'm surprised that wasn't picked up by the lineswoman or the ref, to be honest, because I could see it from where I was that it looked in.
It's impossible for a lines person, for a lineswoman, Connor. It's nigh on impossible, that is.
Yeah, I think...
Because don't forget where she struck it from. She was 25 yards out, maybe a bit further.
The edge of the box, wasn't it? Yeah.
So, and she's got to look at the back line, and so it's really difficult.
Yeah,
really
I'm not going to go in on it, because the speed of the ball as well doesn't help.
Yeah,
it was a tough one.
It was a tough one for you.
But going back to your original point, Benny, about what whether the game has changed. I think the game has definitely changed from, say, you can just say 20 years ago, from what it was. Whether it's the right, or some fans would say it's the wrong thing to do. You shouldn't be going up and surrounding the ref and things like that. I think on certain occasions, I think you will see it this season in the women's game, that with certain players. And I agree with what you're saying. The captain should be doing it, but the whole team should be doing it. I think you'll see it in bigger games. I know every game in the WSL is a big game, but I think when we play City, Chelsea, teams like that, you probably will see it a bit more, because there's more kind of tension riding and kind of adrenaline on the game. Like I said, I don't know. It's a difficult one for me to answer, because I don't really know where I stand, because part of me wants to see it, but then the other part of me thinks, well, why should the refs take that? Why should they just take abuse off players for making decisions? So I don't really know where I sit on it. So it's a difficult one for me to answer.
You can tell how many times I've been sent off in my playing days, can't you?
Mr. Brazil, where would you like the fine sending to?
Always makes me laugh, that. Always makes me laugh, that one.
I do laugh, that did, yeah. I think Connor raises a really good point, actually, because in my playing days, I was, which you won't be surprised to know, I was exceptionally vocal. And I would do everything that I could to disrupt the opposition. One of my favourite ones was to go in for a slide tackle, and we'd both be on the floor on our stomachs, and I'd hold his shirt here. I literally got hold of him, blindside of the ref. He's like doing that to me, and I'm going, I've still got his shirt, by the way, and I'm going, ref, what's going on here? He's hitting me, punching me. And then as soon as the ref's coming over, I've let his shirt go. Bloody hell, ref, what's going on? And of course, I've got away with it. So the shithousery, you will see that grow in the women's game. You will see that. You will see as the women's game becomes more and more popular, you will see shithousery start. The question is, do you want to see it in the women's game? I guess that's the question. So I can see where Connor's coming from.
Yeah. But on this, we've had this massive debate for a good number of years now, and I don't think the FA are going to even bother to train their referees and bring in professional referees into the women's game, full-time professional referees, in the next 5 years. There's no plan to do it. So you know what I mean? I in a way, I feel sorry for the referees. They are like Sunderland type referees, if you like, managing, trying to manage a game of football at the very highest level of the women's game. Trying to keep up with play, trying to make the right decisions. And I just don't think half of them are capable of it.
Well, they're not. But I mean, if if what I heard is right, and if Connor was saying that Mike Riley was there, maybe they are going to take the refs under their wing.
I hope so.
And maybe they'll become part of the PGMOL or whatever it's called, and they'll get trained, because they do need training, but they need a bit of help. That's for sure.
Here we go. There we go. I'm glad somebody's on the ball with this. So the PM, yeah. So they control it now. So I just hope they're giving them the correct training and everything, and the correct just like they do for the top Premier League referees.
Yeah.
One other idea that Matt did have before, I want to just run it by both of you, is that would you have say a referee that's a referee in a League Two game? Would you have a referee from a League Two game come in and do some refereeing at the women's game?
I think it could be done two ways. I think to fast track referees through the system quicker, they could use the women's game. Now, you're going to see, because the world is going to push this upon us, female referees eventually in the Premier League. And I think that's why the PGMOL are getting involved today, now, ready for when the time is going to be that you've got to have representation in the Premier League of a female referee. We've already got it in a minute with a Lions person, so will you have that? But I am all for not using a women's game as a training exercise, because I think that would be unfair to the quality of footballer you've got playing at the highest level in women's football. But the PGMOL have got to get a grip on the, there's a couple of, the other thing, don't forget, if you're part-time and you've just come from an 8-hour working day somewhere, or a 6-hour working day somewhere, you won't have time to keep your fitness up. And with players now at clubs like Manchester United, City, Chelsea, they're all professional athletes, so they're fit. You need to have a professional referee, or a referee with a level of fitness. And that was one of the biggest things that the Premier League had 10 or 15 years ago, was referees' fitness levels. They weren't fit enough. That's why they had to go professional. And you will see that with the women's game. As the women's game grows and they get stronger and they get fitter, or the referees will have to be exactly the same. They'll have to have that level of fitness. I don't know what
it's the first season of a PGMOL boss anyway for the women. So I'm glad Catherine's on this. And if you didn't mention it, Anthony, on a different show, sorry, I'm still behind on this week's show, pal. I am still catching up because I've had a shit ton of stuff to do this week. And I've been at football matches left, right, and centre. But I will get to your show. Don't you not worry about that, my friend. But thank you for letting me know. No, they're on about Matt, where Matt's been, obviously, as well. I was wondering what result they're on about. But yeah. But what I was going to say now, that's what I was going to say. Is there anything that you would do to improve standards of the women's game, or would you just let it grow or naturally as it is doing now, or do you think there's too much pressure, Connor, from the likes of Sky Sports and Barclays that are now pumped up quite a bit of money in, that everything has to be so instant, has to be now?
They shouldn't be putting pressure on, because they know what they signed the deal for. So yes, I think you're right, and it's got to grow at its own pace. I saw something earlier, like you can't compare the women's game to the men's, like people are trying to do now. It's on Sky, when the men's game have had 100-year head start. You cannot. I don't understand that argument. Just because it's on Sky now, all of a sudden everything's got to be the same. It's not going to be. It's got to have time and money put in, and commitment from fans. Actually, fans have got a big part to play in it, because it's all very well and good sitting there, let's say on social media, going, oh yeah, and I get it if you live far away and you can't get to games and things like that. But commitment from fans, make sure you go to games, make sure you watch them when they're on Sky, make sure you're behind the team, not just putting out there, the standards needs to be better. No, get behind the team. Because like I said earlier, whether you support whoever you do support, it, like I said, all I saw yesterday was Man United Reading. That's all I saw it as. So it needs to grow at its own pace, and it will. Sky will do their, and BBC will do their utmost to help. I'm sure they'll put money in, because at the end of the day, obviously, we've spoken a lot over the last few weeks on various shows about whether the deal came a bit too early. There's some games that are called off because of frozen pitches or waterlogged pitches or whatever. Sky are not going to let that happen, because now they're involved, their commercial interest and the money that they've put in, they're not going to let that happen. So they will put money in to make sure that they're provided, because from a business point of view, they're providing entertainment and a product that they want to be able to sell to people. So they're going to do their utmost to try and raise the standards. But it's like I said earlier in the show, people can say what they want about the game and things like that. And I've watched obviously I've caught a bit of the City Everton game earlier as well. The quality is good. It's not like if you went some low league game, the quality is good. So yes, there can things that can be improved on. Try and pack out the stadiums, officiating standards and things like that. But the quality of play, from what I've seen over the last 2 days, is good. So there is definitely a foundation to be worked on. But it needs to grow at its own pace. This is not going to happen this season just because Sky are now involved. This is not going to be right. Everything's professional. Everything's this. It's going to take time. Like I said, the men's game have had 100 years head start. It's going to take a bit longer. So, yeah, it will grow, and hopefully, obviously, for the better. I know there's some core people that might not necessarily want it to change, because it is still, a closed community. But it just needs to take time. People just need to be patient with it and get behind the teams that you support. I think that's the main thing.
Absolutely. And Catherine, I totally agree with you on this comment, by the way, because I've said it before. Is there enough money trickling down? I think the championship should be professional already, the women's championship. And I reckon the FA should be doing everything they can to increase support lower down in the National League as well. We've done massively loads of shows on it. I know Matt's done massively loads of shows on that as well. My main fear is, what happens after Sky get involved, a Premier League forms, which I think would be brilliant for the WSL if a Premier League comes and takes it and takes the next stratosphere and beyond, like they have done with the men's game. And I think then the FA can concentrate all the resources getting the championship and the national leagues as professionally as possible. Full-time professional teams instead of semi-pro teams and part-time teams. And so I think that's the one thing that I think is ruining the women's championship game, is that some teams, if they finish, for example, like Doncaster Bellies, not so long ago, finished top of the women's championship, but didn't have the financial requirements to go up into the WSL, and that's a really famous team, by the way, in the women's game, Doncaster Bellies. For those that know the women's game, that shouldn't be an issue. They should be able to come straight up, and then with the help of the FA, with the help of even a financial support package or something, But we've done many shows on that before, so that's just repeating myself. But I totally agree with your point there. And lastly, Stu, I'll come to you. Should we let it grow organically, or do you see now Sky getting involved? They might push a Premier League style pyramid style league together.
It's got to grow organically for British players, because if you start pushing a Premier League and then teams start getting money to even a quarter of the wealth of what the Premier League men's teams are getting now, then you're going to see an influx of foreign stars come over. Well, not that I use the word stars, but foreign players coming over. And then you've got to look at the growth of English talent at the minute. The way the women's game is currently, you've got a real chance as being a young, keen footballing girl of making the grade. If you start to really professionalize this league now and don't let it grow organically, then similar to the men's game, you're going to see blocks and hazards for girls to get to a high level of football. And I don't think that's good for the sport. I know everybody wants money now. I know we look at these players that are on 30 grand a year and we think to ourselves, wow, what's 30 grand a year? It's nothing. And I was even amazed, wasn't I, yesterday? They don't get bussed in and all this kind of nonsense. They don't stay at a hotel overnight and get bussed in. I couldn't quite work that out. But then thinking about it, you've got to kind of understand where the women's game is. And if you start to run before you can walk, then my worry is that girls won't get the same opportunity further down the line that they're getting today. And I think that's really quite key, because we talk about grassroots football all the time on the men's channel, on how the Premier League is awash with money, and yet Shrewsbury Town struggle to pay their players $2,000 a week. When Ronaldo's come on, we know he's getting 400 grand a week or whatever, something along those lines. And we know where Ronaldo is compared to, a Shrewsbury Town player. I'm not saying, but there's got to be an equal share. If you throw all the money in the Premier League, you will kill the women's game down the pyramid, and you can't afford to do that. So it's got to grow organically, and it's got to take its course, I'm afraid.
Absolutely, Stu. Spot on as always. And I didn't want to mention Kirsty Hanson, but this show's been rolling and rolling and rolling and rolling. I've lost that as well. So I'm just going to give a quick shout out to Kirsty Hanson, because for me, player pre-season, and then she got player of the match in the first WSL game, televised live on Sky Sports, and the opening goal of the game. So she's on absolute fire, man, and I'm pleased to see it, because last year, or was it last year? Yeah, it was last year. Now, time does fly by. She did get a little bit of stick. She had to come off social media a little for a period of time, because people were giving her absolute shit, and it's good that she's bounced back, and I'm really, really proud of her, man, for doing so, because she is going to be a top player, especially when she reaches Leah Golden's age of the 24s, 25s, 26s, where she will come into her prime. Trust me, she'll be such a decent, really good player. She, as I've always said, she'll be the mainstay of this United team for the next decade. I've got no problems or no questions about that at all. Right, boys, thank you for joining me tonight. Pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, no, I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
I'm getting you both on again, especially if you're going to be regular goers,
Let us know. Give us an odd, Benny. Always a pleasure to come on. It was great to meet everybody yesterday. So it was great fun. I must admit, great fun.
Yeah, I'll echo what Stuart said as well. Everyone in the comments, obviously, that met yesterday. Like I said on Twitter, all brilliant people, and that's the one thing I loved about yesterday. It was a proper community feel about it. Which you don't necessarily get now with the men's game. I fully enjoyed it. Anthony, I hope your voice is all right after yesterday with the leading the chants as you were. But yeah, no, thoroughly enjoyed it. Like I said, I should hopefully be at Leicester away next week, and then obviously Chelsea in a couple of weeks as well. Fingers crossed.
And of course, that'll be back for those fixtures as well, because we did miss that. That's the hype girl. That's the one that gets everybody going. You know what it's like sometimes. You've had a trip down, you're feeling a bit sleepy. You've had a long, hard week at work. That's the one that gets everybody going. So we'll be back better, bigger, better than ever before. But the one thing I did want to touch upon as well, which I know I'm still dragging this show out, but it's my show and I can't be asked to finish it yet, was the way that Matt Skinner was absolutely applauding us and really getting behind the fans. I think from day one, he's always said that we're going to be a big factor in this season. So it's good to see him acknowledge us as well with waves and claps. And I love the guy. The only criticism I do have of him, it looks like he's modelling for Gap, and he's a football manager. Where is your suit, my friend? Manchester United wear suits, lad. And then again, only good at Solskjaer, someone's going to point out, doesn't really wear suits on all the time either. So, but if you're going to go down that route, you're going to have to go down the Mick Phelan route, get some shorts on, my friend. Proper manking yourself up. Mank it up. Absolutely. Yeah. But no, he's a good guy. I've just. Casey Stoney was known for a bit of a fashion sense as well, and now we've got a fashionable manager, Matt Skinner, as well. That likes his dress sense. God, bring me back the old suit and tie manager, mate. I'm too old for that. I want the Fergie suit and tie.
Absolutely, it's what he did, wasn't it, Fergie? Bless him.
Yeah, the Matt Busby wearing a suit and tie, you know. Yeah, I agree, Catherine. It appears that when Aspie Starr should be a Manchester United women's manager. Absolutely. John, you're not fashionable, mate. You look like a Dead for Fran with that bloody hat on.
Well, he didn't wear it, did he, that much? I didn't see it.
I think he knew he was
he bottled it, really, with the hat, John did. But
yeah, he's supposed to be Man U's biggest fan.
Yeah, well, that's what I heard as well.
Yeah.
That's what I heard as well. So she did post a picture on Twitter of a couple of people that were wearing the Man U, whatever, bucket hats, whatever they're called.
You missed out on that, John. You should have got yourself on social media. Tagged her in.
He should have got himself on Sky with it, really.
He should have done. I like this when Man U scores, I wear it.
Oh, is she likely to score?
We shall see. Time will tell. Time will tell.
In the air, or?
We'll find out, mate. We'll find out.
Absolutely.
No, I better end it there because we're just going to waffle on about a load of rubbish now. It's going to end up like uncut. Hold on, I've got to get this one. Skinny jeans, clean combat boots, and a Burberry coat and uniform is apparently John. I don't think John's got in his locker that, you know. He's got Adidas Predator shoes with his own name on it.
He did have some Preds. I did notice he was rocking the Preds yesterday. Yeah,
he's got his name on that as well, you know. He's got Foster on it.
Oh, I didn't know he got his name on. I mean, he kept that covered up.
Poser there, you know.
Bloody, I'll tell you, look, yeah, posers. I haven't got my names on any of my boots. I couldn't. Poser, John. Poser.
I'll stick up for you, Jonathan. I think you can rock anything that you want to wear.
he can rock that bucket hat. Bless him.
I better end it there. Thank you to everybody that's joined us in the comments. Thank you for everyone that's watched live. Thank you to Matt, even though his Wi-Fi is absolutely shocking today and he's disappeared off the face of the earth. Oh, no. Thank you to Conor. Thank you to Stu.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, pal. And we'll be back for the match reaction on Monday, which I think is at 7 o'clock. John Foster will kill me if I get it wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's on 7 o'clock for the match reaction show. I think with myself, I'm on it. Matt's on it if his Wi-Fi holds up, I believe. John himself and Natalie's back as well. So, and if I've got it all wrong, I'll get a message from Jonathan in a minute going, you've got the lineup completely wrong. And I'll look a fool. So,
just as a quickie to everyone in the comments, we do, you know, if you want to come and get involved in the men's chat as well, we'd be interested to see how you view the difference between men and women from a women's side. Anthony and all the guys, really, would be great to have you on board.
Sorry, Paddy, I know you really want to end it, but I can plug on the men's channel. We have a women's and men's show called Bridging the Gap, Tuesday at 9 o'clock over on the All for United men's account. So where we do talk about the comparisons between the women's and the men's game, we talk about all kind of stuff down to contracts, transfers, coaching, absolutely everything. So Tuesday at 9 o'clock, Bridging the Gap will be back on the All for United account.
Yeah, there you go. Come and have your say. Come and pop along onto the men's and have your say. John Foster, get yourself along on there. Have your say. Anybody that's on there that doesn't really watch the men's game, but wants to have their say on how the women's game you may feel is better than the men's game in some areas, and how they want to take something from the men's game and make the women's game better. Come and have your say. Yeah. It'll be a very rich conversation.
Ask your questions. Ask whatever you want.
Yeah, Jonathan and Nat will be there from obviously this channel. They'll be on the show as well.
There you go. Some familiar faces for you. Well, I'm going to end that there now anyway. Thank you to everyone for watching once again, and we shall see you in the next one.
Thank you, guys.